She started discreetly gathering her evidence. The first thing she retrieved was the raw, original Phase 3 data, the spreadsheets that proved the hepatic abnormality was known. She locked it away in a highly encrypted, cloud-based file, separate from all Pharmagen servers. She also kept her chemical simulation logs, the terrifying proof of Aethel's reaction to the common industrial compound. Her next step was the hardest, finding an ally. Lena knew she couldn't go to the FDA directly. Pharmagen's political and legal machinery would bury her before she even finished her sentence. She needed a battering ram. She chose Marcus Cole, an aggressive, relentless investigative journalist notorious for taking down corporate giants. Using a newly purchased disposable phone and a voice modulator, Lena initiated contact. The call was short, clipped, and terrified. "Marcus Cole?" she whispered into the cheap device, hating the sound of her own voice. "Aethel is poison. It's not genetic. Check the water, check the old pipes." They knew about the hepatic precursor. "Who is this?" Cole demanded. "What are you offering?" "The truth. But if I talk again they'll destroy me," Lena said, hanging up before he could press further. As Lena disposed of the burner phone, she felt a momentary rush of relief. She had acted. But the relief was instantly replaced by a deep chill. Unbeknownst to Lena, Pharmagen's sophisticated corporate security team, designed to track insider trading and IP theft, had already flagged her sudden use of encrypted messaging apps on her private network as unusual communication activity. The Watcher was now watching her. The small compromise had exploded, and the company was about to realize who lit the fuse. The news cycle was a blur of fear and corporate spin. While Pharmagen Global's powerful legal team publicly dismissed every correlation to Aethel as baseless speculation, internally the cleanup began. CEO Mr. Thorne initiated an urgent data integrity sweep across all departments, a move Lena instantly recognized as a desperate attempt to destroy any remaining physical evidence of the original trials, particularly the original hepatic risk reports. Lena knew her window was closing. She couldn't send the entire encrypted file yet. She needed Marcus Cole, the journalist, to establish enough public momentum that her ultimate revelation wouldn't be dismissed as the ravings of a disgraced VP. Using a complex series of VPNs and temporary email accounts, Lena executed her first true leak. She sent Cole the raw, original Phase 3 trial data, the unedited spreadsheets showing the consistent 1.5% hepatic abnormality, along with her own simulation logs that mapped Aethel's deadly interaction with the anti-corrosion agent. She didn't send the signed, falsified final report yet. That was her nuclear deterrent. Marcus Cole, armed with indisputable numbers and a clear chemical link, published an explosive preliminary article within 48 hours. It didn't name Lena, but it used the exact clinical language of her original report, shattering Pharmagen's genetic anomaly defense. The reaction at Pharmagen was immediate and volcanic. The stock plummeted 15%. Lena was summoned to Thorne's office that evening. Thorne didn't raise his voice. He didn't mention the leak. He simply offered her a glass of the same champagne they hadn't opened 2 years ago. "A nasty piece of journalism, wasn't it?" Thorne said, swirling the golden liquid. "It proves that paranoia is contagious, Lena. You know as well as I do that our enemies would stop at nothing to sabotage Aethel." He walked over to a high-tech security display on his wall. It showed live feeds of the entire building. Then Thorne subtly zoomed in on a specific feed, Lena's own office. "We value loyalty, Lena," Thorne continued, his eyes locked on hers. "And we protect our loyal assets. I hope you aren't engaging in any behavior that might be construed as disloyal. Your reputation is everything. Don't let paranoia destroy the legacy you worked so hard to build." Lena felt a cold wave of fear wash over her. He didn't have proof, but he knew. The subtext was clear. "We know you are the source and we are watching." She realized that in this corporate war her career wasn't just on the line. Her freedom and possibly her life were in danger. Her small compromise had made her a target. Lena returned to her office the next morning with a carefully constructed facade of control, but inside she was vibrating with fear. Thorne's veiled threat, coupled with the escalating news reports, left her no choice but to escalate her plan. She needed to retrieve the nuclear deterrent, the single physical backup of the original trial data and the falsified, signed final report. She never got the chance. At 10 a.m., a small army of Pharmagen security personnel, led by a tight-lipped lawyer she didn't recognize, arrived at her floor. They presented a formal internal memo citing an urgent audit related to data security and potential intellectual property theft. They escorted her to a conference room, politely locking her inside. From the window, Lena watched them methodically raid her office. They weren't looking for a paper trail, they were looking for her. They found the discarded burner phone wrappers, the subtle differences in her simulation logs, and perhaps most damningly the frantic encrypted search history on her work computer. Lena realized she was no longer an executive, she was a criminal liability about to be contained. She had to move now. Using the flimsy excuse of needing to retrieve a specific contract from a decentralized storage unit, Lena convinced the security guard stationed outside to briefly escort her to the basement storage facility. Once there, she exploited a known blind spot in the old security cameras, slipping through a maintenance access door and into the street-level delivery bay. She was on the run. She raced across the city, ditching her corporate sedan for a taxi, her focus laser-sharp on her destination. A tiny, obscure safe deposit box connected to a bank branch she hadn't visited since inheriting the key from her deceased grandmother. It was the one physical link to her past, and the only secure repository for the data that could end Pharmagen. As she entered the cab, her corporate phone buzzed with an urgent text message from Thorne. Administrative leave is effective immediately. Do not attempt to access any company property. We know where your loyalties lie, Lena. The pursuit was on. She saw a black SUV, sleek and anonymous, peel away from the curb near the corporate tower and start following the path of her taxi. They were closing in. Reaching the old bank, Lena rushed to the vault. Her hands trembled as she inserted the brass key into the safe deposit box. Inside, resting on velvet, was a single, nondescript flash drive. This small piece of plastic held the definitive proof of her avoidable mistake, the falsified report with her own signature, and the original raw data that confirmed Aethel was a poison. As she tucked the drive into her pocket, she heard the heavy front doors of the bank whoosh open. Two imposing figures in dark suits entered, scanning the lobby with cold, professional precision. Lena's frantic run was over. The only thing left was the confrontation. Lena had seconds.